Today we stand on the brink of restoration. Maybe this past year hasn't gone the way you hoped, and you may feel like time has been wasted. But I'm here to tell you that God is about to restore what seemed lost. And here are 7 powerful signs that He is moving in your life. Sometimes we find ourselves in seasons where nothing seems to be going right. It feels like everything we've worked for, all the time we've invested, is unraveling, leaving us with little more than frustration and a sense of loss. The year feels wasted, and we wonder if there's any way to redeem the time. But in the middle of this turmoil, you start to sense something deeper. There's a feeling inside you that you can't quite explain, a stirring in your spirit. It's subtle at first, but it grows stronger, gently reminding you that God isn't finished with you yet. This stirring, though often quiet, is one of the most powerful signs that God is about to restore everything you thought was lost. The stirring begins when you least expect it. It might come during a moment of prayer or reflection, or even while you're going about your everyday life. Out of nowhere, you feel a shift in your heart. It's as though something inside you is waking up. The best way to describe it is like a soft nudge from God, prompting you to pay attention, to listen closely. You realize that there's something more for you, that your story isn't over. This sensation, this stirring, is a signal that God is working behind the scenes, preparing to restore what has been broken or lost. This stirring is often accompanied by a deep sense of restlessness. It's not the kind of restlessness that leads to anxiety or impatience, rather. It's a holy restlessness that compels you to seek more, to press into God with greater intensity. You may find yourself dissatisfied with the things that once seemed fulfilling, as if your spirit is rejecting anything that doesn't align with where God is taking you next. This discomfort is not something to be feared or avoided, but rather embraced. It's a divine signal that transformation is near. At first, you might question this feeling. You wonder if it's just your imagination or perhaps wishful thinking. But as time goes on, you realize that this stirring is persistent. It doesn't fade. It's not a fleeting emotion or a passing thought. It's a continuous prompting, an undercurrent of conviction that keeps calling you back to the truth that God has a plan for your life. This is not merely optimism, it's a deep spiritual awareness that God is getting ready to move in a profound way. One of the most amazing things about this stirring is that it often comes when everything around you seems to be falling apart. You may be facing challenges in your relationships, finances, or health. On the surface, there may be no visible signs of change or improvement, but internally, God is doing something new. This stirring in your spirit is a reminder that God is not limited by your circumstances. Even when life feels like it's unraveling, He is weaving together a greater plan. What looks like a setback is often the setup for a comeback. As this stirring grows, it starts to bring clarity to areas of your life that have been confusing or uncertain. You begin to see things with fresh eyes. It's almost like a veil is being lifted, allowing you to discern God's hand in your situation. This doesn't mean that all your questions will be answered at once, but it does mean that you start to sense a new direction. It's as if God is giving you a glimpse of what's to come. He is aligning your heart with His will, and in doing so, He's preparing you for the restoration that's on its way. One of the key ways to nurture this stirring is through prayer. When you feel that nudge in your spirit, it's crucial to take it to God in prayer, asking Him to reveal more of what He's doing. Prayer becomes not just a time of asking for things, but a time of aligning your heart with God's heart. You begin to listen more intently for His voice and direction. In these moments of communion with God, the stirring in your spirit becomes even more pronounced. You sense that God is speaking directly to you, reassuring you that He has not forgotten you, and that the wasted year will soon be a distant memory. As you lean into this stirring, you may also start to experience moments of divine inspiration. Ideas that seemed far-fetched or impossible now seem attainable. Dreams that you had once given up on begin to resurface, and this time they carry with them a sense of purpose and urgency. It's as if God is breathing new life into old hopes, reviving desires that you had long buried. This is not by accident. When God stirs your spirit, He often awakens the dreams and visions that are part of His greater plan for your life. What felt impossible before suddenly feels within reach, because you realize that it's not by your power, but by His that it will come to pass. In addition to personal inspiration, the stirring in your spirit may lead you to seek out community. You might find yourself drawn to people who share your faith and can encourage you in this season of restoration. God often uses others to confirm what He's doing in your life. A simple conversation with a friend, a message from a pastor, or even an unexpected encounter can serve as a confirmation that God is indeed moving. Surrounding yourself with people of faith helps strengthen the stirring in your spirit and keeps you focused on God's promises. As this stirring deepens, you may also notice a shift in your attitude and perspective. Where you once felt hopeless or discouraged, there is now a quiet confidence that God is in control. This doesn't mean that all your problems are solved, but it does mean that you are no longer defined by them. You start to see your struggles as temporary, and your focus shifts from what you've lost to what God is about to restore. This is a critical moment, because it's in this shift of perspective that you begin to align yourself with God's timing. You stop striving in your own strength and start trusting that God's plan is unfolding exactly as it should. As the stirring in your spirit grows, it becomes a powerful motivator. You begin to take steps of faith, even when the path ahead is unclear. You might not know exactly how God is going to restore your wasted year, but you know that He will. This conviction gives you the courage to keep moving forward, even when it feels like progress is slow. You become more resilient, more hopeful, and more determined to hold on to God's promises. This stirring in your spirit is a sign that God is preparing you for something greater. It's a reminder that He hasn't forgotten you, that He sees every tear, every frustration, and every loss, and He's not just going to restore what was lost, He's going to bring you into a season of abundance. When God restores, He doesn't just give you back He multiplies it. He turns your pain into purpose, your trials into triumphs, and your wasted year into a season of divine breakthrough. There's something incredibly powerful about a closed door. It represents a missed opportunity, a dream deferred, or even a period of waiting and uncertainty. When you encounter closed doors in your life, it can be disheartening. You might feel like you've been working hard, praying, and doing everything in your power, yet nothing seems to open. You knock, you push, but the door remains firmly shut. It's frustrating, even painful, when opportunities seem out of reach, when everything you've hoped for feels distant or unattainable. But here's the truth: closed doors are often a sign that God is about to do something greater. They are a signal that His timing is at work, and that when the right moment comes, those closed doors will swing open in ways you never imagined. A closed door is not a rejection from God, it's a redirection. Many times we see a closed door and immediately assume that it's a sign we've failed, or that what we desire is not in God's plan. But closed doors often mean that God is preparing something better for us. Sometimes we knock on the wrong doors, trying to force our way into opportunities that aren't aligned with God's purpose for our lives. And other times we are simply not ready to walk through those doors, and God, in His infinite wisdom, keeps them shut until we are fully prepared to handle what's on the other side. When you understand that a closed door is not the end, but the beginning of something new, it changes how you view your situation. Imagine standing in front of a door that has been closed for what seems like forever. You've tried everything, but no matter how hard you push, it doesn't budge. You start to question whether it will ever open. But then one day something shifts. The door that was once immovable begins to open effortlessly. You didn't need to force it, it opened at the right time, in the right way. This is how God works. When His timing aligns with His plan for your life, doors that once seemed locked will open with ease. This isn't a matter of luck or coincidence, it's the result of divine intervention. The key to understanding closed doors is recognizing that God's timing is perfect. We live in a world that thrives on instant gratification. We want everything now. We pray and expect immediate answers. We work hard and expect instant results. But God operates on a different timeline. His perspective is eternal, and He sees the bigger picture that we often cannot. When a door remains closed, it's usually because God is orchestrating something behind the scenes. He's preparing the way, ensuring that everything is aligned so that when the door does open, you will be ready to walk through it and succeed. What might look like a delay is actually divine preparation. When God begins to open closed doors in your life, it often happens in ways you least expect. You might have your eyes set on one opportunity, and suddenly a completely different door opens. This can be confusing at first because it doesn't align with what you had planned. But God's plans are always better than our own. The door He opens may lead you down a path you never considered, one that brings greater blessings, more fulfillment, and deeper purpose. It's important to remain flexible and open to God's leading. When a door opens that you weren't expecting, trust that it's part of His perfect plan. Sometimes the doors that open are ones we had forgotten about. Maybe there was a dream or an opportunity you pursued years ago, but the door was firmly shut. You moved on, thinking it wasn't meant to be. But then, in God's perfect timing, that very door reopens. You're given another chance, a new opportunity to step into something you once thought was lost. This is a powerful reminder that God never forgets the desires of our hearts. When we align ourselves with Him and trust His process, He has a way of bringing things full circle. The closed door of yesterday becomes the open door of today, and it happens when we are truly ready to embrace it. As doors begin to open in your life, you may also notice that the obstacles which once seemed insurmountable are no longer in your way. This is a clear sign that God is at work. When doors are closed, it's often because there are obstacles on the other side that need to be removed. God, in His wisdom, clears the path so that when the door opens, you can walk through without hindrance. These obstacles might be external, such as financial limitations, relationship challenges, or other practical issues. Or they could be internal, such as fear, doubt, or a lack of faith. Whatever the obstacles, God is working to remove them so that when the door opens, you can walk through confidently, knowing that He has cleared the way. One of the most beautiful aspects of God opening doors is that it often leads to a season of abundance and overflow. When God opens a door, it's not just for a single blessing or a small opportunity. It's often the beginning of a season where multiple doors open, where blessings flow in ways you never expected. One open door leads to another, and before you know it, you're walking in a season of favor. This is why it's so important to remain patient and trust the process. The door that opens may be the first of many, and God's blessings often come in waves, each one building on the last. As you walk through the doors that God opens, it's important to remember that these opportunities are not just for your benefit. God opens doors not only to bless you, but to position you to be a blessing to others. When you walk through an open door, consider how you can use the opportunity to serve others, to lift them up, and to extend God's love and grace to those around you. This is how we become co-laborers with God in His kingdom. Every open door is a chance to glorify Him and to advance His purposes on the earth. When God opens doors, it's a reminder of His faithfulness. There may have been times when you doubted, when you wondered if God had forgotten about you. But when the door opens, it's clear that He was with you all along. His timing may not have been what you expected, but it was exactly right. The open door is a testament to God's goodness, His perfect timing, and His unfailing love. It's a reminder that He is always working, even when you can't see it. There are moments in life when it feels like things are coming together in a way that is beyond coincidence. You meet the right person at the right time, hear exactly what you need to hear, or experience a breakthrough that you couldn't have orchestrated on your own. These moments, where things just seem to align perfectly, are often divine connections orchestrated by God. They happen when He is preparing to restore what has been lost, or to guide you into a new season of blessing. Divine connections are not random, they are purposeful, intentional, and a clear indication that God is moving behind the scenes in your life. When God is about to restore your wasted year, He often begins by bringing people into your life who are part of His plan for your next chapter. These divine connections are people who will help you grow, challenge you in positive ways, and open doors you couldn't have opened on your own. They may be mentors, friends, or even strangers who speak a word of encouragement or wisdom at just the right moment. What makes these connections so powerful is that they are God ordained. These people are placed in your path not by chance, but by divine design. Sometimes these connections may come in ways you don't expect. You may be going through a difficult time, feeling isolated or discouraged, when suddenly someone steps into your life and offers exactly what you need. It could be a word of advice, a helping hand, or even just a listening ear. This is not mere coincidence, it's God sending the right person at the right time to remind you that you are not alone, that He is still in control, and that He is working to restore what you thought was lost. These divine connections often come when you're at your lowest, serving as a reminder that God sees you and cares deeply about your situation. Divine connections also serve as catalysts for growth. When God brings people into your life, it's often because they have something to offer that will help you move forward. It could be their experience, their wisdom, or their support. These connections challenge you to think differently, to step outside of your comfort zone, and to embrace new possibilities. They may even help you see things from a perspective you hadn't considered before. In doing so, they help prepare you for the next season of your life. God uses these people to sharpen you, to refine your character, and to equip you for what lies ahead. One of the most beautiful aspects of divine connections is that they are mutually beneficial. Just as these people come into your life to bless you, you also have something to offer them. God creates relationships that are built on reciprocity, where both parties are strengthened and encouraged. You may not realize it at first, but your presence in their life is just as important as their presence in yours. This mutual exchange is part of God's plan to build strong, life-giving relationships that contribute to His greater purpose. Divine connections are also a key to unlocking new opportunities. Many times, the breakthrough you've been praying for comes through the people God brings into your life. It could be a business partnership, a job opportunity, or even an introduction to someone who has the resources or knowledge you need to take the next step. These connections act as divine conduits, channels through which God's blessings flow. What you couldn't do on your own suddenly becomes possible because of the doors these people help open. This is why it's so important to recognize and nurture the relationships that God brings into your life. However, divine connections aren't always easy to recognize at first. Sometimes the people God brings into your life may not fit your expectations or preconceived notions. You might be looking for a connection in a specific area, but God brings someone into your life who seems completely unrelated to your situation. It's important to remain open and trust that God knows what He's doing. Often the people who seem the least likely to be part of your journey end up playing a crucial role in your story. God sees the bigger picture, and He knows exactly who you need in your life at any given time. As these divine connections begin to unfold, you may also notice a sense of alignment. Suddenly, things that once felt scattered or out of sync begin to fall into place. You find that your conversations with these people bring clarity to areas where there was once confusion. They might offer insights or solutions that you hadn't considered, and through their guidance, you begin to see the path forward more clearly. This sense of alignment is a sign that God is orchestrating these relationships for a purpose. It's not just about friendship or networking, it's about God positioning you for the next phase of your life. Divine connections also require discernment. Not everyone who enters your life is sent by God, and it's important to seek His guidance in recognizing which relationships are divinely ordained. This is where prayer and spiritual discernment come into play. As you cultivate your relationship with God, He will give you the wisdom to discern which connections are from Him and which are not. This is crucial because not all connections are beneficial, and some may even serve as distractions or detours. By staying close to God, you will be able to recognize the divine connections He has orchestrated and avoid those that are not part of His plan. Once you've recognized these divine connections, it's important to steward them well. Relationships are a gift from God, and like any gift, they require care and attention. Make an effort to invest in these relationships, to nurture them with love, kindness, and respect. Be intentional about spending time with the people God has placed in your life, and be open to learning from them. At the same time, be willing to offer your own support and encouragement. Divine connections thrive when both parties are committed to helping each other grow and succeed. Divine connections are a sign that God is actively working to restore your life. He doesn't just restore things, He restores through people. The relationships He brings into your life are part of His larger plan to heal, strengthen, and propel you into a new season of abundance and purpose. These connections are a tangible reminder that God is with you, that He is for you, and that He is working all things together for your good. Faith is a foundational part of the spiritual journey, and there are moments in life when it feels as though your faith is being tested in ways you could never have imagined. These times are often difficult and can leave you feeling uncertain, questioning why things are happening the way they are, or wondering if God is still present in your life. However, what we often fail to realize in the midst of these challenges is that these moments of testing are not meant to break us down but to build us up. They are designed to strengthen our faith, purify our hearts, and prepare us for the blessings and breakthroughs that lie ahead. When you face trials and challenges, it's easy to feel like your faith is being put to the ultimate test. You may experience hardships, loss, disappointment, or a prolonged season of waiting that makes you wonder if God has forgotten about you. These trials, though painful, are not meant to crush your spirit. They are meant to refine your faith like gold being purified in the fire. Each test is an opportunity to grow deeper in your trust in God and to rely on Him more fully. It is through these trials that your faith is strengthened and made resilient. One of the most significant aspects of faith is trust in God's plan, trust in His timing, and trust in His goodness. But trusting God is often easier said than done, especially when life throws unexpected challenges your way. It's in these moments of uncertainty that your faith is truly tested. Will you continue to believe in God's promises even when circumstances suggest otherwise? Will you hold on to His word even when everything around you seems to be falling apart? These are the questions that arise when your faith is being tested, and how you answer them determines whether your faith will grow stronger or weaker. When your faith is being tested, it can feel like a period of darkness. You might not understand why certain things are happening, and it's easy to feel confused or even abandoned. Yet it is in these very moments of uncertainty that God is closest. He may seem silent, but He is present, watching how you respond to the trials. Your faith is being stretched, but this stretching is necessary for growth. Just like a muscle that is strengthened through resistance, your faith grows stronger as you endure the challenges that life throws your way. It may feel uncomfortable in the moment, but the outcome is a faith that is more robust and resilient than before. The Bible is filled with stories of individuals whose faith was tested, and through their trials, they emerged stronger in their relationship with God. Take the story of Job, for example. Job experienced unimaginable loss and suffering. He lost his wealth, his health, and his family. Yet, despite all of this, Job refused to curse God. He questioned, he grieved, but he did not lose his faith. In the end, God restored everything Job had lost and more. Job's faith was tested, but through the testing it was strengthened. His story reminds us that trials are temporary, but the strength we gain from enduring them lasts forever. Another example is Abraham, whose faith was tested when God asked him to sacrifice his son Isaac. This test was not just about obedience, it was about trust. Abraham trusted God's promise, even when it seemed like everything was going against that promise. He believed that God would provide, and indeed God did. Abraham's faith was strengthened through this test, and as a result he became the father of many nations. His story shows us that faith requires not only belief, but action, trusting God enough to follow Him, even when it doesn't make sense. When your faith is tested, you might experience a sense of waiting. You've prayed, you've believed, but the answer hasn't come yet. This waiting period can feel agonizing, but it's an essential part of the testing process. In the waiting, your faith is refined. It's in the waiting that you learn patience, endurance, and perseverance. These are qualities that not only strengthen your faith, but also prepare you for the blessings that are coming. Waiting teaches you to trust in God's timing, knowing that He is never late and that His plans for you are always good. One of the most challenging aspects of having your faith tested is the temptation to give up. When things aren't going as planned or when the answers to your prayers seem delayed, it's easy to feel discouraged. Doubts begin to creep in, and you may start to wonder if it's even worth holding on to your faith. But it's in these moments of doubt that you must dig deeper and cling to the promises of God. The enemy will try to use these moments of weakness to plant seeds of fear and discouragement. But if you remain steadfast, your faith will grow even stronger. God allows these tests of faith not to harm you, but to prepare you for greater things. Often the testing comes right before a significant breakthrough. Just when you feel like you've reached the end of your rope, that's when God shows up in ways you could never have anticipated. The testing of your faith produces perseverance, and that perseverance leads to maturity. Each trial you face is an opportunity to become more grounded in your faith and to draw closer to God. It's an invitation to trust Him more fully, even when you don't understand what He's doing. During these times of testing, it's essential to stay connected to God through prayer and His Word. The Bible offers countless examples of individuals who faced trials and came out stronger on the other side. Reading these stories can provide encouragement and remind you that you're not alone in your struggles. Prayer is your lifeline during these moments. It's through prayer that you pour out your heart to God, expressing your fears, doubts, and frustrations. But it's also through prayer that God strengthens you, offering peace and assurance that He is still in control. It's also important to surround yourself with a community of believers who can support you during these times. Faith was never meant to be lived out in isolation. When your faith is being tested, having people who can encourage you, pray with you, and remind you of God's promises can make all the difference. These are the people who will stand with you in faith when you're struggling to hold on, and they will celebrate with you when the breakthrough comes. As your faith is being tested, it's crucial to remember that God is faithful. He has not brought you this far to abandon you now. The very fact that your faith is being tested means that God is preparing you for something greater. He sees your potential, and He is using these trials to shape you into the person He created you to be. Every test is an opportunity for growth, and every challenge is a chance to become more like Christ. When God is about to restore your wasted year, one of the most powerful signs is the birth of a fresh vision in your heart. This new vision is often marked by a sense of clarity, purpose, and direction that you may not have felt in a long time. After a season of feeling stuck or lost, the sudden emergence of a new dream, idea, or purpose is a clear indicator that God is at work, preparing you for something greater. The stirring of a fresh vision in your heart is His way of saying, "I'm not done with you yet." A fresh vision is often birthed out of the ashes of disappointment or failure. When you've experienced setbacks, lost opportunities, or prolonged periods of waiting, it's easy to feel like your dreams have withered away. But in these very moments, God begins to plant new seeds of hope. He breathes life into areas of your life that once seemed dead and forgotten. What once felt impossible begins to feel achievable again. This is the power of a fresh vision. It ignites your soul with hope and faith in what God can do. When God gives you a fresh vision, it's not just a random idea or fleeting desire. It's something that takes root deep within your heart, stirring you in ways that nothing else has. You feel energized and excited about the future, even if you don't have all the details figured out. This vision may be a new direction in your career, a ministry you feel called to start, or a creative project that has been placed on your heart. Whatever form it takes, it fills you with a renewed sense of purpose and determination. One of the most important aspects of receiving a fresh vision from God is recognizing that it's not just your own desires or ambitions. It's a God-given vision that aligns with His plans for your life. Often this vision will require you to step out in faith, to take bold actions, and to trust God in ways you haven't before. It's a call to move forward, even if you don't have all the answers yet. This fresh vision will challenge you, but it will also inspire you to become everything God created you to be. A fresh vision is accompanied by a deep sense of peace, even in the midst of uncertainty. You may not know how everything will unfold, but there's a quiet confidence in your heart that God is in control. This peace comes from knowing that the vision you've received is not something you have to accomplish on your own. God is with you, guiding you every step of the way. He is the one who will open doors, provide resources, and bring the right people into your life to help you fulfill this vision. As you begin to embrace this fresh vision, you may also notice that your desires and priorities start to shift. Things that once seemed important may no longer hold the same weight. Instead, your heart is drawn toward the things that align with the vision God has placed within you. This is a sign that God is not only giving you a fresh vision, but is also preparing your heart to receive it. He is aligning your will with His will, so that you can move forward with clarity and conviction. A fresh vision also brings with it a renewed sense of hope. After a season of feeling like nothing is happening, or that your efforts have been in vain, this new vision breathes life into your spirit. You begin to see possibilities where there once were none. What seemed like a wasted year suddenly becomes fertile ground for growth and new opportunities. This shift in perspective is crucial because it allows you to let go of the past and focus on the future with anticipation and excitement. Sometimes, a fresh vision can be overwhelming. It may feel too big or too far out of reach. But remember, God never gives you a vision without also giving you the grace and strength to see it through. He doesn't expect you to accomplish it all in one day. Instead, He invites you to take it one step at a time, trusting that He will lead you every step of the way. The key is to stay connected to Him through prayer and His Word, seeking His guidance as you move forward. As this fresh vision unfolds, you will begin to notice that doors start to open. Opportunities that were once closed off begin to present themselves. People who can help you along your journey come into your life at just the right time. These are not coincidences, they are divine alignments. God is orchestrating everything behind the scenes, positioning you exactly where you need to be to fulfill the vision He has given you. It's important to remember that a fresh vision doesn't mean everything will be easy. There will still be challenges and obstacles along the way. But the difference is that now you have a clear sense of purpose. You know why you're doing what you're doing, and that makes all the difference. When difficulties arise, you can face them with courage because you know that God is leading you. The vision He has placed in your heart is worth fighting for. A fresh vision also requires patience and perseverance. Just because you have a clear vision doesn't mean everything will happen overnight. There will be seasons of preparation, times when it feels like things are moving slowly, or even moments of doubt. But during these times, it's essential to hold on to the vision and trust that God's timing is perfect. He is working behind the scenes, even when you can't see it. Another important aspect of a fresh vision is that it often involves helping others. God's visions are rarely just about us, they are about advancing His kingdom and blessing those around us. As you pursue the vision He has given you, you will find that it impacts not only your life but also the lives of others. Whether it's through a ministry, a business, or a creative endeavor, the vision God gives you will be a source of blessing to those who come in contact with it. As you move forward with this fresh vision, stay open to God's leading. He may adjust or refine the vision as you go. Sometimes what starts as one idea evolves into something even greater than you could have imagined. Be flexible and willing to follow wherever He leads. The most important thing is to remain faithful to the vision He has placed in your heart, trusting that He will bring it to fruition in His perfect timing. When financial breakthroughs are on the horizon, it can feel like the dawn of a new season. After long periods of struggle, frustration, or uncertainty, you begin to sense that things are shifting in your favor. This sign is not merely about material wealth, but a deep understanding that God is opening doors and aligning opportunities to bring you out of lack and into a season of abundance. A financial breakthrough is often a tangible manifestation of God's provision, and it usually happens at a time when you need it the most but least expect it. The feeling that something is about to change, that your financial situation is on the brink of transformation, is a significant indicator that God is restoring what was lost or wasted in your life. One of the first signs of a financial breakthrough is a shift in your mindset. You begin to move from a mindset of scarcity to one of abundance. This change doesn't happen overnight, but gradually you start to see things differently. You realize that God is your ultimate provider and that He is more than capable of meeting your needs. You stop focusing on what you lack and start trusting in God's ability to provide for you. This mental shift is crucial because it aligns your thoughts with God's promises of provision and abundance. When your mindset shifts, it's as if you're making room in your heart for the breakthrough that is about to come. Another sign of financial breakthroughs on the horizon is the appearance of unexpected opportunities. These can take many forms, such as a new job offer, a business idea, or even financial help from an unexpected source. These opportunities often come out of nowhere, surprising you with their timing and relevance to your situation. You might be struggling to make ends meet, and then suddenly an opportunity appears that has the potential to change everything. These moments are not coincidences, they are orchestrated by God to lead you into a new season of financial blessing. During the lead up to a financial breakthrough, you may also experience a period of testing. It's not uncommon to face challenges or setbacks right before a significant breakthrough. These tests are designed to strengthen your faith and deepen your trust in God's provision. You may be tempted to give up or question whether a breakthrough is even possible, but it's in these moments of trial that your faith is refined. God uses these times to prepare you for the blessing He's about to release in your life. It's as if He's saying, hold on just a little longer, your breakthrough is coming. Faith is a critical component of financial breakthroughs. God often requires us to take steps of faith before we see the full manifestation of His provision. This might mean sowing seeds of generosity, even when your own resources are limited. It could involve stepping out in obedience to pursue a new venture, trusting that God will provide the necessary resources along the way. Whatever form it takes, faith is the currency that activates financial breakthroughs. When you trust God with your finances, you're placing your situation in His hands, knowing that He is faithful to provide. Another key indicator of an impending financial breakthrough is the sense of peace that accompanies it. Even if your external circumstances haven't changed yet, there's a deep inner peace that comes from knowing that God is working behind the scenes. This peace surpasses understanding and gives you the confidence to keep moving forward, even when the breakthrough hasn't fully materialized. You may still have bills to pay, or your financial situation may still seem dire, but you're no longer overwhelmed by worry or fear. Instead, you rest in the knowledge that God is your provider and that His timing is perfect. As financial breakthroughs approach, it's common to see God's favor begin to manifest in your life in small but significant ways. You might receive unexpected discounts, gifts, or other forms of provision that reassure you that God is taking care of you. These small blessings serve as a reminder that God is faithful to meet your needs, and they encourage you to keep trusting Him for the larger breakthrough that is on the way. They are like breadcrumbs leading you toward the greater provision that God has in store for you. Sometimes a financial breakthrough is preceded by a call to stewardship. God may be preparing you for the breakthrough by teaching you how to manage your resources wisely. He may prompt you to create a budget, eliminate unnecessary expenses, or make wiser financial decisions. This season of preparation is not to be overlooked. It's part of the process of aligning you with God's provision. When you show yourself faithful with what you have, no matter how little, you open the door for God to entrust you with more. It's also important to recognize that financial breakthroughs are not solely for personal gain. When God blesses you financially, it's often so that you can be a blessing to others. The breakthrough is not just about accumulating wealth, but about using it for a greater purpose. Whether it's supporting a ministry, helping someone in need, or investing in the kingdom, God's financial blessings are meant to flow through you to impact the lives of others. As you become a conduit for God's blessings, you'll find that He continues to pour out more, knowing that you will use it for His glory. As you draw nearer to your financial breakthrough, you may also experience a deeper level of gratitude. Even before the breakthrough fully arrives, your heart is filled with thankfulness for what God has already done and what He is about to do. This attitude of gratitude is powerful because it shifts your focus away from lack and toward abundance. When you express gratitude, you acknowledge that God is the source of all your blessings, and this opens the door for even more provision. Gratitude creates an atmosphere of expectancy where you are ready to receive all that God has in store for you. Financial breakthroughs often bring a sense of purpose and direction. As God begins to restore your finances, you'll likely gain clarity on how to use these resources to fulfill His plan for your life. This breakthrough is not just about meeting your immediate needs, but about positioning you for long-term impact. God is not only concerned with your present situation, but with your future. The financial blessing that is on the horizon is part of His bigger plan to equip you for the work He has called you to do. When you are approaching a breakthrough or a season of restoration, one of the clearest signs that God is at work is a deep sense of peace that begins to settle within you. This peace is not something you can easily explain or point to in your circumstances, rather, it's an inner calm that defies external chaos or turmoil. It's the peace that God gives when He is about to bring something new into your life, and it serves as a quiet assurance that, despite the struggles or setbacks of the past year, His hand is guiding you towards restoration. This peace is different from the fleeting comfort we sometimes feel when things temporarily seem to go well. It's not dependent on whether your circumstances have changed or whether you've received everything you've been waiting for. In fact, you may still be facing challenges, delays, or moments of uncertainty, yet this peace remains steady within you. This is the peace that Philippians 4:7 describes as the peace of God, which transcends all understanding. A peace that guards your heart and mind, even when everything around you seems unstable. One of the remarkable aspects of this peace is that it doesn't come from within ourselves, but is a direct gift from God. It's the kind of peace that only He can provide, often showing up when we've reached the end of our own strength or understanding. After a season of wrestling with worry, fear, or doubt, this peace feels like a quiet release. You may still have unanswered questions, but they no longer consume you. Instead, you rest in the knowledge that God is in control, and that His plans for your life are unfolding in His perfect timing. Often, this deep sense of peace arrives when we've finally surrendered our need to control the outcome. After trying everything in our power to make things happen, we reach a point where we hand our worries over to God and trust Him with the results. In doing so, we make room for His peace to enter our hearts. This act of surrender is key because it reflects our trust in God's sovereignty and goodness. We realize that no matter how hard we've tried to fix things on our own, it is ultimately God who holds our future. In moments of peace, there is a sense of stillness in your spirit. This doesn't mean that everything around you has stopped, or that life has suddenly become easy, but there's a quiet confidence that replaces the anxiety you may have felt before. It's as though God is whispering to your soul, "I've got this." This peace allows you to rest, both physically and mentally, knowing that you don't have to carry the burden alone. God's presence becomes more tangible to you in these moments, and His assurance fills the empty spaces that were once occupied by fear or doubt. This deep sense of peace also brings clarity. Often when we're stressed or overwhelmed, our thoughts become clouded, making it difficult to see the path forward. But when God's peace enters, it clears away the mental fog, allowing you to see things from a higher perspective. You begin to understand that the setbacks and delays you faced were not wasted, they were part of God's plan to prepare you for what's coming next. With this clarity, you can move forward with a sense of purpose, knowing that the obstacles you faced have strengthened you for the journey ahead. Another powerful aspect of this peace is that it transcends your circumstances. Even if nothing has changed on the outside, you experience a shift on the inside. The bills may still be unpaid, the relationships may still be unresolved, or the dreams may still seem distant, but the peace within you remains unwavering. This is because the source of this peace is not found in your circumstances, but in God Himself. He is the constant in a world that is ever changing, and His peace anchors you in His promises, even when the future feels uncertain. This peace is also a form of divine reassurance. It's as if God is gently reminding you that everything is working together for your good, even when it doesn't feel like it. You may have experienced loss, disappointment, or failure in the past year, but God's peace assures you that He is working behind the scenes to restore what was broken. It's a reminder that your story isn't over, and that God is weaving something beautiful out of the mess. This peace allows you to let go of the need to understand every detail of how things will work out, and simply trust that they will. In this season of peace, you may also notice that your priorities begin to shift. Things that once caused you stress or worry may no longer have the same hold on you. You start to focus on what truly matters: your relationship with God, your faith, and the promises He has made to you. This shift in focus brings an even deeper sense of peace, as you realize that many of the things you once worried about are not as important in the grand scheme of God's plan. This realignment of priorities helps you to live with greater intention and peace, knowing that you are walking in alignment with God's will. Additionally, this peace opens the door for gratitude. When your heart is at peace, it's easier to recognize the blessings in your life, even in the midst of difficult seasons. Instead of focusing on what's missing or what went wrong, you begin to see the ways in which God has been faithful, sustaining you through the challenges. This gratitude shifts your perspective, allowing you to see that God's hand has been on your life all along, guiding you through the ups and downs. Gratitude and peace go hand in hand, reinforcing each other and creating a sense of wholeness in your spirit. As this peace continues to grow, it also equips you to be a source of peace for others. When you are filled with God's peace, it overflows into your relationships and interactions with those around you. You become a calming presence, someone who others can turn to in times of distress. This peace is not just for you, it's meant to be shared, to bring comfort and hope to those who are struggling. In this way, God uses your own experience of peace to bless others and to demonstrate His love and faithfulness to them. When God is about to restore a year that feels wasted, there are significant signs that can help you recognize His movement in your life. These signs are not random, nor are they subtle. They are clear indicators of God's divine orchestration, preparation, and blessing. Throughout this speech, we've explored these 7 powerful signs that reveal God's imminent restoration, offering hope and assurance that what seemed like a year of loss, setbacks, or delays is actually a stepping stone to a season of renewal and breakthrough. The stirring in your spirit is perhaps the most personal and intimate sign. It's when you begin to feel an undeniable sense that God is doing something new, even if you can't yet see it with your physical eyes. This stirring brings a sense of expectation and excitement, often prompting you to pray more, seek God's will more fervently, and take actions of faith, trusting that He is preparing the way. It's the internal prompting that reminds you God is not finished with you, and He is preparing you for something greater than what you've experienced before. The opening of closed doors is another clear sign that restoration is near. After what may have been a long season of waiting, struggling, or encountering obstacles, you suddenly find that opportunities are beginning to present themselves. What was previously blocked or inaccessible now becomes open. God orchestrates the timing of these open doors perfectly, allowing you to step into new opportunities with grace and favor. These doors may come in the form of relationships, career advancements, or personal breakthroughs, all aligned with God's purpose for your life. Divine connections are a powerful confirmation that God is positioning you for restoration. The people you meet during this season of restoration are not by accident. God places individuals in your life who help guide, support, and encourage you. These connections may come in the form of mentors, new friends, or even strangers who offer you opportunities or guidance. These relationships are divinely orchestrated to assist you in the next phase of your journey, helping you step into the restoration God has planned. Sometimes these people bring wisdom, resources, or opportunities that were out of reach in your previous season. As you move closer to God's restoration, your faith will be tested, but it will also be strengthened. Trials and challenges are a natural part of the process leading to restoration. These tests are not meant to break you, but to refine your faith, helping you to trust God more deeply. You may face moments of doubt or fear, but through each test your faith is fortified and you come out stronger, more confident in God's promises. The testing of your faith is often a precursor to the blessings that God is about to pour out, teaching you perseverance and dependence on His strength, not your own. Another unmistakable sign of God's restoration is a fresh vision in your heart. You begin to see your life dreams and goals with renewed clarity and purpose. The dreams that you may have put on hold or forgotten during difficult times are rekindled. God places a new vision in your heart, showing you what is possible and giving you the courage to pursue it. This vision may be related to your career, relationships, or personal growth, but it is always aligned with God's greater purpose for your life. You find yourself energized and excited about the future, knowing that God is leading you towards something far greater than what you've left behind. Financial breakthroughs often accompany God's restoration, as we discussed. These breakthroughs are more than just an influx of money or resources. They are a sign that God is restoring your life holistically, providing for your material needs as well as your spiritual and emotional well-being. These financial blessings may come in unexpected ways, such as new job opportunities, promotions, or even unexpected gifts or provisions. However, they are never just for your personal gain. God's financial blessings are meant to position you to be a blessing to others, to invest in His kingdom, and to support those around you. As you step into this season of financial provision, it is important to remember that God is using your resources as part of His greater plan. One of the most beautiful and telling signs of restoration is a deep sense of peace that fills your heart and mind. This peace is not dependent on external circumstances, but is a gift from God that transcends understanding. Even in the midst of challenges or uncertainties, you begin to experience a calm assurance that God is in control. This peace is a marker of God's presence and His promise that everything is working together for your good. It allows you to move forward without fear or anxiety, resting in the knowledge that God's timing is perfect and His plans are for your ultimate good. In this season of restoration, all these signs work together to reveal God's hand in your life. While it may have felt like a year of waste or loss, God is showing you that nothing is ever wasted in His economy. Every setback, delay, or failure has been used to prepare you for the blessings that are about to be released. You begin to understand that what you went through was not meant to destroy you, but to build you, strengthen your faith, and align you with God's perfect plan for your life. The trials were necessary to prepare you for the restoration that is now unfolding. It's important to remember that God's restoration is not just about returning you to where you were before. He is not interested in simply restoring the status quo. Instead, He is bringing you into something greater than what you had before, something more aligned with His purpose and glory. God's restoration is about advancement, growth, and elevation. It's about taking you from one level to the next, expanding your capacity to receive His blessings and to walk in His calling for your life. What may have seemed like a season of loss was actually a season of preparation. And now, as God restores what was lost, He is positioning you for greater things. The journey to restoration requires trust, faith, and patience. You may not see everything come to fruition immediately, but these signs serve as reminders that God is actively working behind the scenes. Each sign is a step closer to the fulfillment of His promises in your life. As you continue to trust in Him, stay faithful, and keep your eyes on the vision He has placed in your heart, you will begin to see the fruit of His restoration. The restoration of a wasted year is not just about regaining what was lost. It's about stepping into a new season of purpose, growth, and blessing. God is faithful to restore what was broken, to open doors that were once closed, and to bring divine connections into your life. He tests and strengthens your faith, gives you a fresh vision, provides financial breakthroughs, and fills you with peace. All of these are signs that God is turning what once seemed like a wasted year into a foundation for a brighter and more fulfilling future. Trust in His timing, embrace His process, and be ready to step into the fullness of His restoration. When we turn to prayer, we are not merely speaking words into a void or petitioning a distant power. We are engaging in a profound act of creation. Prayer at its truest essence is not about asking, begging, or hoping, but rather about assuming. To pray effectively, one must assume the feeling of the fulfilled desire, stepping fully into the reality of the thing we seek as though it has already manifested. This act of assumption aligns us with the very state in which we wish to dwell, and by embodying this state we allow it to come forth into the world of form. Imagine for a moment that your heart's desire has already been granted. The joy, the relief, the peace these emotions should fill you as though the prayer has already been answered. This is not make-believe or wishful thinking. It is the truth of prayer that taps into the power we have to create. When we pray from the state of assumption, we begin to live in the end, immersing ourselves fully in the experience of fulfillment. Prayer, in this sense, becomes a sacred act of embodying our desires, and in a knowing that what we have asked for is already ours. In the silence of your mind, imagine vividly. Allow yourself to see, to feel, and to dwell in the state of already having. If it's healing you seek, feel the warmth of vitality coursing through your body. If it's abundance, feel the peace and security of having more than enough. If it's a loving relationship, bask in the tenderness, companionship, and love as though it fills your life now. Let every fiber of your being become attuned to this reality as though it is already here. Hold this state, let it grow in your heart, and carry it forward unwavering. To pray as if it's already done requires releasing doubts and worries. Worry contradicts prayer, for it is the seed of fear that doubts the power within. Assume instead that there is no obstacle, no force working against you. Trust that your desire is already aligned with the boundless potential within. Once the prayer has been cast forth in the quiet of assumption, we need only release it and go about our lives holding on to the feeling as a constant state. Whenever your mind drifts back to the prayer, see it not as a question but as a certainty. Reaffirm to yourself it is done, and know that as you hold to this assumption, life itself bends, rearranging circumstances, people, and events to mirror the state you have embraced. Let go of the urge to watch for results, for the results will come naturally when your heart and mind rest fully in the belief of their reality. You do not strain a seed to grow, you allow it. In the same way, we allow our assumptions to blossom, trusting that their fulfillment is assured. Prayer, in its highest form, is living in a state of acceptance, a recognition that the desired outcome is already set within us, waiting to unfold. To pray as if it's already done is to understand the language of creation, to know that our inner state defines our outer world. And so in stillness we align, we assume, and we trust, knowing that all we seek is already within, waiting to manifest through our unshakable belief. When you engage in prayer, it is essential to remember that you are not merely speaking to the air, reaching out to some far-off entity, or pleading for something you do not have. Instead, prayer should be seen as the act of claiming what is already yours, a way to align with the reality that you seek. Prayer is a powerful tool of creation, but only when used correctly. Too often people pray from a place of need or lack, thinking they must convince a higher power to grant them their wishes. But the true power of prayer lies in assuming that what you desire is already yours, right here, right now. This shift in perspective changes everything. When you assume the feeling of your desire already being fulfilled, you move into the state where the prayer has already been answered. The assumption is not about hopeful wishing or trying to make something happen. It is about understanding that your desire is already in motion. It is like planting a seed and assuming it will grow without needing to micromanage the process. The universe or the divine works in its own time, but your job is to stay in alignment with the assumption that it is already done. To begin, let's understand that everything exists in its completed form. Your desires, your dreams, your goals all exist in the spiritual realm, and your role is not to beg or plead for them, but to align yourself with their already existing state. Imagine for a moment that what you want is already complete, whether it's a job, a relationship, health, or wealth. If it were already yours, how would you feel? What would your thoughts be? What would your state of mind look like? This is what you must begin to embrace in prayer. When you assume the feeling of having what you desire, you tap into the law of creation itself. You are, in essence, living as though your desire is already a part of your reality. You feel it, you experience it, and you claim it as yours. This feeling of already having, of already being, is the key to transforming your life through prayer. It is not about trying to make things happen, it's about realizing that they already are happening on a deeper level. When you pray, let go of the words and let go of the asking. The asking creates the feeling of need, and need implies lack. To pray effectively, you must assume that what you desire is already done. You must step into the feeling of already being there. If you're praying for financial abundance, for instance, do not pray from a place of scarcity or lack. Instead, feel the security, the joy, and the peace of already having all that you need. Let this feeling fill you completely. The more you can assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, the more you will begin to notice changes around you. People, situations, and opportunities will begin to shift, moving in alignment with your new state of being. This is the power of assuming. You are not changing external circumstances directly. Instead, you are changing your internal state, and as your state changes, the world around you must reflect that change. The outer world cannot help but mirror what is going on inside of you. To assume your prayer is already done requires complete trust in the process. There must be no room for doubt or fear. Once you pray, you must believe that it is already taken care of, and you no longer need to focus on it. Worry, anxiety, and impatience are the enemies of effective prayer. They arise when we believe that we are not already aligned with our desire, when we forget the assumption that it is already ours. But the moment we return to the feeling of having, the moment we embody the emotion of fulfillment, everything begins to fall into place. Prayer is not a ritual that must be repeated over and over. It is not a practice of begging for mercy or a cry for help. It is a powerful act of assuming. When you assume the fulfillment of your prayer, you enter into a state of already being in possession of that which you desire. There is no need to question how or when it will come. It is simply a matter of aligning yourself with the assumption that it is done. When you assume that something is already in motion, the universe or the divine forces that work behind the scenes are activated, and all that is needed for your prayer to come to fruition will manifest naturally and effortlessly. It is vital to remember that the world around you is constantly responding to the state of being that you occupy. If you hold the assumption that you are already healed, your body will begin to align with that assumption. If you hold the assumption that you are already financially abundant, your bank account will begin to reflect that belief. It is not magic, nor is it wishful thinking. It is the natural law of assumption in action. You are not waiting for something to happen, you are living in the truth that it has already happened. The key to powerful prayer is in living as if the prayer is already answered. One of the most powerful ways to pray is through visualization. Picture yourself in the state you desire, feeling it as if it were already real. Visualize the events, the circumstances, and the emotions as though they are already happening. This mental image is more than just a picture in your mind, it is the creative act of assuming your desired outcome. Every time you return to that image, you are reinforcing the assumption and sending out a powerful signal to the universe that you are in alignment with your goal. The feeling is the key. It is the emotion that brings everything to life. When you can assume the feeling of already having your desire, you ignite the creative process. The power of prayer lies not in the words you speak, but in the feeling behind them. Words without feeling are empty, but words filled with the assumption of already having, those words are alive and filled with energy. Your feelings are the language of creation. When you pray, let your heart be filled with the joy, the peace, and the satisfaction of already having received. As you continue in this practice, you will find that it becomes easier to stay in the state of assumption. The more you pray in this way, the more natural it becomes to live in the feeling of fulfillment. You will begin to notice that you are no longer waiting for things to change outside of you, because you already feel as though they have changed. You are no longer seeking answers, because you already have them. You are no longer asking for blessings, because you are living in the blessing. This is the power of assumption in prayer. It is not a passive process, it is an active creation. You are the creator of your reality, and prayer is your tool for manifesting that creation. The more you assume, the more you embody the state of already being, the quicker your desires will manifest. Your job is simply to remain in that state, to keep the assumption alive, and trust that the universe is bringing everything to you in its perfect timing. There is no need to struggle, no need to wrestle with your desires. Prayer, when used in this way, is effortless. It is not about trying to change the world, it is about changing your perception of it. When you assume the feeling of your desire already being fulfilled, the world must conform to that assumption. It cannot do anything else. Everything in your life will begin to fall into place as you align with your prayer and embody the fulfillment of your desire. Do not make the mistake of praying and then doubting, praying and then worrying. If you believe that you are truly living in the assumption of your prayer already being answered, then all doubt must vanish. Once you have prayed and assumed it is done, you must trust that it is already working behind the scenes. Let go of the outcome, for the outcome is already known. Let go of how it will come, for that is not your concern. Your job is to assume, to feel, and to live as though it is already yours. In time, you will see the results of your prayers. The universe works in ways that are beyond our understanding, but rest assured that when you assume the feeling of your desire being fulfilled, it must manifest in your physical reality. It will come, not because you have begged for it, but because you have already assumed it. The assumption is the beginning and the end of the process. You do not need to ask again, you simply need to live in the assumption that it is already done. In the quiet of your heart, in the stillness of your mind, you can always return to the feeling of your prayer already fulfilled. This is the foundation of effective prayer. Prayer as assumption is the key to unlocking the creative power within you. Live as though your desires are already fulfilled, and watch as the universe brings them into being before your eyes. When you pray with the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled, you elevate your consciousness to a place of certainty. This certainty comes not from external evidence, but from the inner conviction that what you have asked for is already in motion, already done. It is a state of mind that transcends doubt and allows you to experience life through the lens of abundance and possibility, rather than lack and limitation. In a world that often conditions us to wait for signs, to question our worth, and to wonder if things will ever happen, assuming the end result allows us to transcend these mental blocks. The key here is the feeling, the deep, unshakable knowing that what you want has already manifested. When you adopt this mindset, you no longer need to look for signs or proof. The proof is in the feeling, and the feeling is what shapes the outer world. The principle of assumption is based on the law of correspondence, as within, so without. When your inner world is filled with the assumption that your desires have already been fulfilled, your outer world will reflect that assumption. Your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors all signal the universe to bring you the things you desire. What you assume, you create. When you align yourself with the feeling of already having, you create a powerful magnetic force that draws your desires toward you. The real power lies in your ability to maintain that assumption without wavering. It's easy to assume when everything seems perfect, when everything is lining up, and when life feels effortless. But true mastery comes when you can maintain that assumption even in the face of challenges or setbacks. When things don't look the way you expect, this is the time to reaffirm your assumption more than ever. You are not waiting for external evidence to validate your assumption. You are the creator, and you dictate the terms. You already know that what you have asked for is on its way. When you assume the feeling of your prayer being answered, you begin to experience life differently. You notice the opportunities, the synchronicities, and the signs that all point to your desired outcome. But none of these things happen because you are searching for them. They occur because your assumption has created the space for them to manifest. The universe is responding to the energy you are emitting, and when you vibrate at the frequency of having what you want, the world around you must respond in kind. It's important to realize that this process does not require force. The assumption works effortlessly. When you truly assume the state of having, you are no longer pushing or striving. There is no resistance. You are simply allowing the manifestation to unfold. The universe doesn't respond to your desperate pleading or your fear-based thoughts. It responds to your inner state of being. When you assume, you let go of all resistance, and the world aligns with that. When you pray, Do not pray from a place of lack. Do not ask for something you feel is missing. Instead, pray from the place of knowing that you are already whole, already abundant, and already aligned with everything you desire. This shift in perspective is essential for the power of assumption to work. You are not trying to bring something new into existence. You are simply aligning with a version of yourself and a version of reality that already exists in potential. Your prayer is not about getting something, it is about stepping into the truth that it is already yours. As you continue to practice prayer as assumption, you will find that the process becomes easier. It will become second nature to assume the feeling of fulfillment, of abundance, of health, or whatever it is you desire. This is the art of living in the end result. The more you practice, the more you will see how the world begins to shift to match the inner state you are embodying. Opportunities will come, people will appear, and circumstances will align, all in perfect harmony with your assumptions. At times you may find yourself tempted to doubt. The world outside may not reflect your assumptions immediately, and this is when your faith will be tested. But true faith is the unwavering belief that your prayer is already answered, even when you cannot see the physical evidence. Faith is not about hoping, it is about knowing. It is about trusting that the universe is always working behind the scenes to bring your assumption into reality. The process may take time, but as long as you stay in the state of assumption, you will find that everything you need will come to you at the perfect moment. To pray as if it is already done is to live in alignment with your highest potential. It is to understand that you are not separate from your desires, but that you are one with them when you assume you are not waiting for something to come from outside yourself. You are drawing from the infinite well of possibilities that already exist within you. You are the creator of your own reality. And when you pray with the assumption of fulfillment, you are calling forth the power of the universe to bring your desires into the physical world. Your thoughts are the seeds you plant, and your feelings are the fertile soil that nurtures them. When you pray, plant the seed of assumption, and then nurture it with the belief that it has already grown. Do not dig up the seed out of doubt or impatience. Let it grow in its own time, knowing that the universe has already set everything in motion. Your job is to remain in the state of fulfillment, to continue assuming that what you want is already yours, and to trust that it is already done. The moment you release the need to know how it will happen is the moment the process accelerates. When you cling to the how and the when, you are creating resistance. You are limiting the possibilities by trying to control the outcome. But when you let go of the need to know, when you trust in the divine timing of the universe, you open the door for miracles to occur. The universe knows far more than you do about how to bring your desires into form, so trust that the process is unfolding perfectly. This is where true peace and power lie, in the knowledge that everything is already working for you. You do not have to force things. You do not have to manipulate situations or people. When you pray and assume, everything will fall into place. Your role is simply to hold the state of fulfillment, to walk as if your prayer has already been answered, and to trust that the universe is bringing your desires to you in its own perfect way. You may not see the results immediately, and that is perfectly okay. The key is to stay in the assumption and to live in the feeling that your prayer is already fulfilled. When you do this, you are sending a signal to the universe that you are in alignment with your desires. The universe does not work on your timeline, it works on divine timing. Trust that everything is happening as it should, and remain open to receiving. As you continue this practice of prayer as assumption, you will find that your life begins to change in ways you could never have imagined. The more you embody the feeling of your prayer already being answered, the more you will see those answers reflected in your outer world. It is not a matter of forcing the universe to give you what you want, but rather a matter of aligning with the flow of abundance and allowing your desires to manifest effortlessly. Remember, the power of assumption lies in the feeling. When you feel the joy, the peace, and the fulfillment of already having your prayer answered, you create a vibration that attracts more of the same. It is a magnetic force that draws your desires to you. And as you continue to pray in this way, you will find that the world around you begins to align with your assumptions, and your desires will manifest more quickly and more easily than ever before. In prayer, there is no need to doubt or to question. Simply assume that your desire is already fulfilled and live in that assumption every moment of every day. The more you assume, the more your reality will begin to shift and you will experience the full power of creation at work in your life. Keep your faith strong, your assumption unwavering, and trust that everything is already in motion. You are the creator, and when you pray as though it is already done, you are activating the universe to bring your desires to life. Every time you practice this kind of prayer, you are building a stronger bridge between the seen and the unseen. You are grounding your desires in the soil of faith, allowing them to grow in ways that may surprise and uplift you. There is no need for outward signs, because the true sign lies within you. You know it is done, and that knowing is all the proof you need. In the quiet moments when you are alone with your thoughts and dreams, immerse yourself in the joy of already having, already being, already achieving. Live in the feeling of fulfillment, as if each of your desires has taken root in reality, growing day by day in the rich soil of your belief. This approach to prayer invites a profound shift within you, one that carries over into every part of your life. You may notice that you no longer cling to things or people, no longer feel desperate or anxious. That peace within becomes unshakable, because you are anchored in the certainty of your assumption. You walk with an aura of confidence and assurance, knowing that everything is aligning in perfect timing. This state of being attracts people, circumstances, and opportunities that resonate with your new reality. It is as though the entire world conspires to bring your assumed desires into form, because you are operating on a frequency that naturally draws them toward you. Even more remarkable is the way this mindset frees you from needing validation from others. When you assume the end, you no longer look to others for approval or reassurance. You do not need to explain your desires or defend your dreams, because you are at peace within. You are rooted in the awareness that everything is already happening. The opinions and doubts of others become like distant echoes, unable to shake the certainty that resides within you. This liberation allows you to focus entirely on your journey, unburdened by outside influences. You become resilient, your faith unbreakable, because you know that the power lies in your assumption, not in any external approval. As you deepen this practice, you begin to recognize that this power of assumption is not merely about manifesting things or situations, but about transforming yourself at the core. It is a journey of becoming the person who naturally experiences the reality you desire. With every assumption you hold, you are aligning with a higher version of yourself, one who effortlessly embodies peace, joy, and abundance. Your prayers then become not about asking or wishing, but about stepping into the life that aligns with who you truly are. You are not pretending to be someone else, rather, you are uncovering the person you were always meant to be. In this space, you experience prayer as a direct communion with the creative force that shapes reality. This force does not operate based on arbitrary conditions or limitations. It simply responds to the energy you radiate. And when that energy is one of certainty, fulfillment, and gratitude, it brings those very qualities into your life. The process of prayer as assumption aligns you with this creative force, allowing you to move in harmony with it, rather than against it. You become a conscious co-creator, fully aware of the power you wield through your thoughts, feelings, and assumptions. Imagine each prayer as a brushstroke, painting the canvas of your life with vivid colors and forms. Each assumption you make is like choosing a color, deciding the shape of your world. As you pray with this depth of conviction, you are continuously painting a masterpiece, a life that reflects your highest aspirations. There is no need to erase or start over. Each moment of assumption builds upon the last, layering your reality with intention and purpose. This is the art of living deliberately, of knowing that you are always in the act of creation, whether you are aware of it or not. Your role is simply to choose the colors, to assume the shapes, and to allow the creative force to bring it all to life. You do not need to worry about how the final picture will appear or when it will be complete. Trust that each stroke, each assumption, is contributing to the beauty of the whole. You are an artist of your reality, and prayer is your medium. The more you embrace this role, the more harmonious and joyful your life becomes. In every moment, you have the opportunity to return to the feeling of your prayer being fulfilled. When challenges arise, see them as reminders to deepen your assumption, to reaffirm the feeling of already having. Let them be gentle nudges that guide you back to your center, to the place within where you know that all is well. Each obstacle, each moment of doubt, is simply a test of your faith, a chance to choose once more to align with your assumption. And with each choice, your faith grows stronger, your reality more aligned with the desires of your heart. You may find that over time, even the process of praying transforms. It becomes less about specific desires and more about a general state of abundance and gratitude. You begin to live in a state of constant prayer, constantly affirming the beauty, joy, and love that fill your life. This shift is a sign that you are becoming attuned to the higher principles of creation, that you are no longer bound by the need to chase after things. Instead, you embody a state of fulfillment that naturally attracts all that is good and needed for your growth and happiness. There is a profound peace in knowing that everything you desire is already here in potential, waiting only for you to assume it as real. You don't need to strive or struggle to bring it forth. You simply need to relax into the feeling of having, to trust in the invisible processes that are unfolding on your behalf. Life becomes an exquisite dance of receiving, of allowing the blessings to flow into your experience without resistance. You are no longer a seeker, but a receiver, and every day becomes an adventure in witnessing the fulfillment of your prayers. As this practice becomes second nature, you will look back and marvel at how easily your desires manifested. The things you once hoped for, longed for, and even doubted will have effortlessly come into being. You will realize that they were always within your reach, awaiting only your assumption. And with this realization comes a deeper understanding of your own power. You are not limited by circumstance or bound by past patterns. You are a creator, endowed with the ability to shape your reality in accordance with the desires of your heart. This realization brings with it a profound sense of responsibility, for you understand that every assumption carries with it the power to create. You become mindful of the thoughts and beliefs you entertain, choosing only those that align with the highest vision for your life. Your prayer becomes a declaration of this vision, a commitment to living in harmony with the best within you. And as you continue to assume the feeling of already having, you become a living example of the power of faith, a beacon of what is possible when one chooses to believe in the unseen. Let each day be an opportunity to deepen this practice, to live more fully in the state of assumption. Approach each moment with the knowledge that you are already whole, already blessed, and already connected to all that you desire. The world around you will reflect this inner state, and you will find that life becomes a continuous flow of miracles and blessings. You are not waiting for a future moment to be happy, fulfilled, or at peace. You are living it now in every prayer, in every thought, in every assumption. In the stillness of your mind, affirm that it is done. Feel the joy, the peace, and the love that come from knowing that all is well. This is your true nature, your birthright as a creator. Embrace it fully, and let your life be a testament to the power of assumption. A life where every prayer is a declaration of your faith in the unseen, a manifestation of your deepest truth. In closing, remember that the power of prayer as assumption is not merely a method, but a way of being, a journey into living as though all you desire is already yours. This journey isn't about hoping, wishing, or waiting. It's about embodying a truth that aligns with the deepest desires of your heart. Each moment you return to this feeling of fulfillment, you reinforce your connection to the divine source within you, the very power that brings all things into existence. Let every prayer, every quiet moment of belief, become a sanctuary where you know without a doubt that you are guided, loved, and supported. As you walk forward in this spirit, life will respond in kind, reflecting back to you the joy, peace, and abundance you hold within. Trust in the reality of your inner vision. Live from the certainty of your assumption, and let your life unfold as a continuous answer to the prayers you dare to feel as already fulfilled. In this way, you become a radiant expression of faith and a witness to the profound truth that what we assume in faith, we realize in life.
Consider for a moment your current approach to achieving your desires. Perhaps you focus intently on the outer world, striving and struggling to make things happen. Maybe you find yourself constantly checking for signs of progress, growing impatient or discouraged when things don't manifest as quickly as you'd like. But I say unto you, this approach is backwards, and it is the very reason why so many find themselves stuck in cycles of wanting and lacking. The secret, my dear listeners, is to trust the process and focus on your inner state. This is not a passive waiting game or a denial of action. It is the very essence of creation, the fundamental principle upon which all manifestation is based. For you see, your inner state is not the result of your outer reality. Your inner state is the cause of your outer reality. Let us delve deeper into this profound truth. Your outer world, everything you experience in your physical reality, is nothing more than a reflection of your inner world, your state of consciousness. It is a mirror faithfully reflecting back to you the sum total of your beliefs, assumptions, and most importantly, your inner state of being. When you understand this, truly understand it, you realize that focusing on changing the outer world without first changing your inner state is akin to trying to change your reflection in the mirror without changing yourself. It is backwards, it is impossible, and it keeps you trapped in a state of perpetual wanting. But how, you may ask, can one trust the process and focus on their inner state when the outer world seems unchanged? The answer lies in the power of your wonderful human imagination. For your imagination is not a mere fantasy maker. It is the very workshop in which reality is forged. When you use your imagination to assume the feeling of your desire fulfilled, when you cultivate an inner state aligned with your wish realized, you are not engaging in idle daydreaming. You are engaging in the most powerful creative act known to man. You are impressing upon your subconscious mind a new concept of self, a new assumption about your reality. Let us take a moment to truly understand this. Your subconscious mind does not distinguish between what you vividly imagine and what you actually experience in the outer world. It accepts as true whatever you feel to be true. And once it accepts an idea as true, it proceeds to bring it into manifestation in your physical reality. So when you trust the process and focus on your inner state, when you assume the feeling of your desire fulfilled regardless of outer appearances, you are not being delusional or engaging in wishful thinking. You are actively creating your reality from within. You are aligning yourself with the creative power of the universe, allowing it to work through you and for you. This, my dear listeners, is the essence of bringing the fulfillment of your assumption into being. It is about recognizing that the power to shape your reality lies within you, waiting to be expressed through your conscious assumption and inner state. It is about understanding that your outer world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner assumptions and feelings. Consider the biblical phrase, therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. This is not about petitioning an external deity. It is about aligning your inner state with the feeling of your desire fulfilled. When you pray believing you have already received, you are assuming the inner state of your wish fulfilled. You are trusting the process, focusing on your inner state, and allowing the outer world to conform to this new inner reality. But let me be clear, trusting the process and focusing on your inner state is not about passivity or simply wishing for good things to happen. It is about a fundamental shift in how you perceive and interact with the world. When you truly embody the state of your desire fulfilled, your actions naturally align with this assumption. You begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You approach challenges with confidence rather than fear. You make decisions from a place of assurance rather than doubt. Let us explore this further with an example. Imagine a person who desires financial abundance. In the old paradigm of focusing on the outer world, they might work tirelessly, constantly worrying about money, always feeling the lack of it. But in doing so, they are affirming their current state of lack. They are living from the assumption that they do not have abundance. And so the universe faithfully reflects this assumption back to them. Now imagine this same person shifting their approach. Instead of focusing on the absence of money, they assume the inner state of financial abundance. They feel the security, the freedom, the joy that comes with having more than enough. They live each day from this feeling, carrying themselves with the confidence and ease of someone who is truly abundant. In this state, they no longer desperately chase after money. They may still work, but they do so from a place of inspired action rather than desperate need. And in doing so, they become magnetic to financial opportunities. They allow abundance to flow into their life, drawn by the power of their assumption and the clarity of their inner state. This principle applies to every aspect of your life. Whether you seek love, health, success, or any other desire, the key is to first assume the inner state of having already attained it. For what you are seeking is also seeking you, but it can only find expression through you when you align yourself with its frequency. Now I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, isn't this just positive thinking? Isn't this denial of reality? And to this I say emphatically no. This is not about denying your current circumstances. It is about understanding the true nature of reality and the creative power of your consciousness. Your current circumstances are nothing more than the fruit of your past assumptions and inner states. They have no power to determine your future unless you give them that power by continuing to focus on them and feel their reality. When you shift your focus, when you assume a new inner state, you are not denying reality. You are exercising your divine right to choose which reality you wish to experience. Remember, the outer world is dead. It has no life of its own. It is your consciousness that gives life to your experiences. When you react to circumstances as if things are not working out, you are breathing life into a reality where things do indeed fail to work out. But when you trust the process and focus on the inner state of your desire fulfilled, you cause your outer world to rearrange itself to match this new inner conviction. This, my dear friends, is the true secret to bringing the fulfillment of your assumption into being. It is about aligning yourself with the law of assumption, recognizing that your desired reality is seeking expression through you, and allowing it to flow into your experience through the power of your imagination and inner state. But let me warn you, this shift in consciousness is not always an easy path. The old habits of reacting to circumstances, of letting your inner state be dictated by what you see, are deeply ingrained in our collective consciousness. As you embark on this new way of being, you may find resistance arising within you. Doubts may creep in, old patterns may try to reassert themselves. When this happens, do not fight against these thoughts and feelings. Simply observe them, acknowledge them, and then gently return to your assumed inner state. For the war is not won by battling against what you don't want, but by persistently embodying the state of what you do want. This persistence, this unwavering faith, in the face of contrary evidence, is what allows you to truly bring the fulfillment of your assumption into being. Think of it like tuning a radio. When you're trying to listen to a particular station, you don't focus on eliminating all the other stations. You simply tune into the frequency you desire. In the same way, you don't need to fight against your current reality or forcefully push away thoughts of things not working out. You simply need to tune yourself to the frequency of your desire fulfilled, to align yourself with the inner state of being what you wish to be. This tuning is done through your imagination and your ability to generate feeling states. Your imagination is the dial that allows you to tune into different frequencies of experience. As you use your imagination to assume the feeling of your desire fulfilled, you are tuning yourself to that frequency, allowing the corresponding experiences to flow into your life. But remember, my friends, this is not a one-time event. Trusting the process and focusing on your inner state is a way of life. It's a constant choice to maintain the state of your desire fulfilled, regardless of appearances. Just as you wouldn't expect to stay in shape by exercising once, you cannot expect to manifest your desires by assuming the state once. This is about persistently assuming the state of your wish fulfilled, about living from this consciousness day in and day out, until it becomes your new normal. As you do this, you will find that your perception of events begins to shift. What once seemed like setbacks or failures now appear as stepping stones or valuable lessons. You begin to trust in the perfect unfolding of your life, knowing that everything is always working out for your highest good. Now, some of you may be wondering, but Neville, how can I maintain this inner state when things seem to be going wrong? How can I trust the process when I face real challenges? And to this I say, your imagination is more powerful than any circumstance. Consider for a moment, have you ever been deeply engrossed in a book or a movie? In those moments, were you not feeling real emotions based on imaginary events? Your feelings were real, even though the events were not happening in your physical reality. This is the power you must harness to maintain your desired inner state. You must use your imagination to create scenarios that evoke the feelings associated with your desire fulfilled. Imagine how you would feel if you knew, with absolute certainty, that everything was working out perfectly for you. Feel the peace, the confidence, the joy that would come with that knowledge. Feel these states as vividly and as consistently as you can. The key is to make these imaginal acts as real to you as possible. Engage all your senses. Feel the relief of knowing everything is working out. See the evidence of things working in your favor. Hear the conversations you would have if everything was unfolding perfectly. Make it real in your mind, and the feelings will naturally follow. But here's a crucial point, my friends. The goal is not to imagine specific outcomes. The goal is to capture the essence of the feeling state associated with trusting the process and knowing that everything is working out. For it is this feeling state that is the true attractor of your experiences. Let me illustrate this with an example. Suppose you're facing a challenging situation at work. Instead of imagining a specific resolution, capture the feeling essence of someone who trusts the process implicitly. What does it feel like to approach challenges with complete confidence that they will resolve in the best possible way? How does it feel to know that no matter what happens, it will ultimately benefit you? What is the feeling of moving through life with the assurance that everything is always working in your favor? By focusing on the feeling essence rather than specific outcomes, you allow the universe to bring your desire to you in ways that might far exceed your specific imagining. You open yourself to possibilities beyond what your current mindset can conceive. This is the true art of trusting the process and focusing on your inner state. It's not about forcing yourself to believe something against all evidence. It's about tapping into the reality of this state in the only place it truly exists, in your consciousness. As you practice this, you may find that your outer world begins to shift in subtle ways. Perhaps opportunities you never noticed before suddenly seem to appear, or challenges resolve themselves in unexpected ways, or you find yourself feeling more at peace and confident, regardless of external circumstances. These are all signs that your inner shift is creating ripples in your outer reality. Don't discount these small changes. Celebrate them. See them as confirmation that the law is working, that your assumption is taking root. But don't become attached to them or anxiously look for them. Simply acknowledge them with gratitude and continue to live from your assumed state of trusting the process. As you persist in this practice, larger changes will begin to manifest. You may find yourself naturally attracting favorable circumstances. You may notice that even seemingly negative events end up working out in your favor. And as you continue to trust the process and focus on your inner state, you'll discover that life becomes an exciting adventure, full of wonderful surprises and perfect unfoldings. But remember, the outer manifestation is not the goal. The goal is the state of consciousness from which the perfect unfolding of your life naturally flows. This is a crucial point, my friends. When you're truly trusting the process and focusing on your inner state, when you're fully embodying this consciousness, you no longer need external circumstances to confirm your assumption. You're already whole, already complete in your knowing that all is well. And paradoxically, it's in this state of inner assurance that you're most likely to experience a life where everything does indeed work out perfectly. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, what about taking action? Don't we need to do things in the physical world to make things work out? And to this I say, yes, action is part of the process. But it's inspired action, not anxious doing. When you're living from the state of trusting the process, ideas and opportunities will naturally present themselves to you. You'll feel inspired to take certain actions, to move in certain directions. These actions won't feel like struggle or effort. They'll feel natural, joyful, almost effortless. This is the difference between making things happen and allowing them to happen. When you're trying to force outcomes, actions feel stressful, born out of fear and doubt. When you're trusting the process and focusing on your inner state, actions flow naturally from your assumed state, guided by an inner wisdom that knows exactly how to bring about the best possible outcomes. Consider the example of a river. A river doesn't strain to reach the ocean. It doesn't force its way through obstacles. It simply flows, naturally finding the path of least resistance. You, my dear listeners, are no different. When you align yourself with the state of trusting the process, you allow your life to flow naturally and effortlessly towards its highest good. But let me be clear, this state of allowing is not passive. It requires an active use of your imagination, a deliberate assumption of the feeling of trusting the process and knowing that everything is working out. It requires faith, not blind faith in external circumstances, but faith in the creative power of your own consciousness. This faith is not about believing that things will work out someday in the future. It's about knowing that everything is already working out perfectly in the realm of imagination, and that the outer world must inevitably conform to this inner reality. As you cultivate this faith, as you persist in your assumed state, you'll begin to see evidence of things working out in your outer world. These signs may start small: an unexpected solution to a problem, a fortuitous meeting, a sudden insight that changes your perspective. Do not discount these signs, no matter how small they may seem, for they are confirmation that your inner world is indeed shaping your outer reality. They are breadcrumbs leading you to the full realization of a life where everything always works out for you. As we near the conclusion of our discussion, I want to address a common concern that arises when people first encounter this teaching. Many worry that if they fully embrace trusting the process and focusing on their inner state, they'll become complacent or lose their drive to improve their circumstances. But I assure you, my friends, the opposite is true. When you're truly living from this state, you become more inspired, more creative, more willing to take inspired risks, because you know that no matter what happens, it will work out for your good. This isn't complacency, it's ultimate confidence. In this state, you're not driven by fear or lack, but by joy and an eagerness to see how wonderfully things will unfold. You take action not because you're trying to avoid negative outcomes, but because you're excited to participate in the perfect unfolding of your life. This is the true gift of trusting the process and focusing on your inner state. It's not just about creating favorable circumstances, although that will happen. It's about aligning yourself with the flow of life, with the creative power of the universe. It's about recognizing your own divine nature and allowing it to express itself fully through you. In this state of alignment, of knowing that everything always works out, you become a channel for the most beautiful expressions of life. Ideas flow to you effortlessly. Opportunities present themselves naturally. The right people and circumstances appear in your life at the perfect time. This is the magic of living from the state of your wish fulfilled. But remember, this magic is not something external to you. It's not some cosmic force that you need to appease or manipulate. It is the natural expression of your own consciousness when it's aligned with the truth of your being. You are the magic, you are the miracle. You are the one for whom everything always works out. As we draw our time together to a close, I want to leave you with a final thought. The principle we've explored tonight, this will bring you the fulfillment of your assumption. Trust the process and focus on your inner state. It's not just a technique for creating better circumstances. It's about recognizing your true nature as a divine creating. It's about aligning yourself with the fundamental laws of the universe and allowing your grandest expression of life to flow through you. When you live from this understanding, everything changes. The world becomes a friendly place filled with infinite possibilities. You no longer see yourself as a small, separate being struggling against external forces. Instead, you recognize yourself as the creator of your reality, the author of your own perfect unfolding. In this state, there's no need to fear or worry, for you understand that everything, absolutely everything, is always working out for your highest good. Your job is simply to assume this state, to live from this consciousness, and to allow the universe to take care of the details. So, my dear friends, as you leave here tonight, I urge you to embrace this principle with all your heart. Don't see it as a technique to be applied occasionally, but as a way of life to be lived continuously. Use your mighty imagination to assume the state of trusting the process completely. Feel the naturalness of being someone for whom everything always works out. Live from this state. Persist in this assumption, and watch as your world rearranges itself to match your inner vision. Remember, you are not a helpless being pushed around by external circumstances. You are the operant power in your world. Your consciousness is the one and only reality. All things are possible to him who believes, for belief shapes reality. In your journey of trusting the process and focusing on your inner state, this belief becomes your guiding light, leading you unerringly to the realization of your perfect life. Go forth from here with this knowledge. Apply it in your life. Test it, prove it to yourself. For in doing so, you'll discover the truth of who you really are. You'll tap into the limitless power that has always been within you, and you'll experience the joy, the freedom, the fulfillment that comes from living in alignment with the laws of creation. The world is waiting for you, my friends, not as a place of struggle or uncertainty, but as a playground of perfect unfoldment. It's waiting for you to recognize your true power, to step into your divine nature, to become the person who knows with absolute certainty that everything always works out. So start now. Feel the reality of being someone for whom everything always works out. Let this feeling permeate every aspect of your being. For in truth, you are already that person. You are already living in a reality where everything works out perfectly. All you need to do is open your heart, embrace this truth, and allow it to express itself more fully in your experience. Remember, the kingdom of heaven is within you. The perfect unfoldment of your life is within you. You are the miracle you've been waiting for. Embrace this truth. Live from it. And watch as your world transforms before your eyes. Trusting the process and focusing on your inner state is not a state of blind optimism, but a state of alignment with the fundamental truth of your being. Go forth now, my dear friends, and apply this principle in your lives. Trust the process. Focus on your inner state. Feel the reality of this truth now, before any external evidence appears. Live from that state, persist in that assumption, and watch as the world rearranges itself to match your inner knowing. For this is the true secret to bringing the fulfillment of your assumption into being, and it is the key to realizing your highest potential as a divine, creative being.